In 1982, I learned a lot about life, but there is one decision I deeply regret: going to a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the best choice. My family encouraged me, promising me that I would have all the care and comfort I needed. I believed them. But when I left there, I realized that the reality was nothing like what I had imagined. I know many of you may be considering this option, whether you are yourself or with a loved one. Maybe you feel like it is the safest decision, or maybe you have been told that it would be easier. But before you take that step, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I was moved. Because the truth is, life in a nursing home is not just about convenience. It changes everything. And when you go there, it is not as simple as you think. Stay with me until the end, because some of these lessons may serve you well. And if you know someone considering a nursing home, this video may be just what they need to hear before making a life-changing decision. Now, let's get started. Regret 1. Lose my independence. The biggest shock after going to a nursing home wasn't the small room, the set meal times, or even the unfamiliar faces. It was the realization that I had lost control of my own life. Before I went home, I had my routines. I decided when I would wake up, when I would eat, and how to expect my day. I could take a walk whenever I wanted, eat my own food, or just sit quietly in my favorite smell with a book. But inside the nursing home, I quickly realized that my time was not my own. Everything was done in a building that wasn't mine. The day went on in a 7-hour manner, even if I wasn't tired. The lights came on at a certain time, whether I was ready for it or not. You want to take a walk out? You need permission, and you'll probably have to wait until someone is available to watch you. Simple decisions like what to eat, or even what to eat, started to feel like privileges rather than basic decisions. I remember my first week there, waking up in a billion that didn't feel like my own. I felt stressed and reached for the book I was already reading at home. But when I looked around the room, I felt myself. This wasn't my billion. My books, my favorite smell, the little comforts I'd tried for years to collect, were gone. In their place were birds, a billion. I didn't choose. In a feeling I couldn't feel, I was no longer healing my own life. The hardest part? Realizing that when you give them their independence, getting yourself back is nearly impossible. You adapt, because you have to. You've gotten used to them giving you what to eat. You've gotten used to asking if you can go for a walk whenever you want. You've learned to tune in to your system, but in the process, you've started to lose yourself. If you're considering a billion, ask yourself, are you ready to give them the little things that make up your life? Because when they're lost, you'll lose yourself more than you thought possible. Regress, too, if you feel forgotten. One of the hardest things about moving into a billion is realizing that the world outside is still moving on without you. When I first arrived, my family reassured me that they would visit often. I believed them, and at first they did. My daughter came once a week. My daughter visited every few weeks, and for a while, I felt like I still had a connection to my old life. But as the months passed, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming. My daughters were picked up from school and work. Parties were the hardest. Everyone promised they would come, but anyway, plans always changed at the last minute. And suddenly, I found myself feeling out in a regular billion, watching other residents stand at the door, hoping that today would be the day someone remembered. It wasn't that my family didn't seem to love me. Life just took me along the way. When you're not in the day-to-day, it's easy for people to assume you're okay, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you're in a billion, the easier it is for people to forget how much you still need them. I remember one night, sitting in my billion, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a loser. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that could never come. So I put the phone down. And that's when it hit me. That was my life right now. Watching the days go by, hoping someone remembered to include me, If you are thinking about going to 1 billion, ask yourself, are you ready for the solution? Because no matter how much your family loves you, when you are out of place, it is easier than thinking to become out of mind. If you are still watching this video and finding these subscribers valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and flip the switch so you don't miss any videos. Now, here we go. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. When I moved to 1 billion, I thought I was just changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing where I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. I had routines, hobbies, and a reason to get to tomorrow. Even the little things, cleaning the plants, making my own coffee, tidying my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in Nurk's house, the daily routines disappeared. The tools were done by me, the cleaning was done by someone else. The plants, well, they weren't mine to care for anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to finally relax. No more crying, no more responsibilities, just being. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days sat long, stressed out with nothing to do but wait. I've seen this in other homes too. People who were once full of energy. Now they sit around, stressed out, waiting to pass the time. There's a man named George, 84, who had been a carpenter all his life. At home, he was always fixing things, building little projects in his garage. But here, there are no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watch as he slowly withdrew his hands once. Strong and skilled, now an idol at his side. I feel useful, he told me one day. And I knew exactly what he did. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work for, life begins to lose its meaning. The mind rests, the body follows, and soon you begin to feel like another resident, in a place where time moves on but nothing really changes. If you are considering a nervous house, tell yourself what the meaning of your life is, because when you move in, finding purpose is not as simple as pushing your time. It is about tackling the things that make you feel alive. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into a nervous house, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could still take care of myself. I went to the bars and cooked my own meals. I had my little ruins that kept me going, shopping, meeting strangers tomorrow, even just going home to keep my body strong. But when I moved on, everything changed. At first, it seemed like I was just taking my time. My feet were open to me, and I no longer had to stay home to get it. If I needed something, I could just press a button and someone would come help me. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the more dangerous I got. I let myself move so much, and my ruins felt more stretched out. I felt more than I used to, and before I knew it, I was starting to feel like a floor. The muscles I had tried for years to hold myself together were disappearing faster than I ever expected, and it wasn't just me. I saw it happening to others too. People who walked on their own 2 feet were holding on to the ruins. People who had once been independent now needed help with things they had never struggled with before. The more help we got, the more we seemed to need it. I remember my friend Alice, the tea-making prince, an 81-year-old woman who was beautiful when she first arrived. She had to take the trucks next to the facility, insisting that she would not slide it just because of a number. But after a few months, I realized that she was not traveling much, so she started using a truck. After a while, one day she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I've been gone 10 years in just a few months." And that's exactly how I felt. When you stop using your body, you start to lose it. And in a nervous house, where everything is designed to make things easier, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience, it's about survival. If I had known how quickly I would lose my strength, I would have thought harder to keep moving, to stay active, to push myself even when I didn't feel like it. If you consider yourself a nervous house, ask yourself, Do you still have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything is set up to make life more challenging? Because when you slip up, getting up isn't as easy as you think. If you're still watching this video and finding these subscribers valuable, please comment number 4 down below so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do and subscribe so you don't forget about the videos. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move on. I'm going to Rule 5, the lack of privacy and dignity. One of the things I didn't consider before I went to a nervous house was just how much privacy I would miss out on. At home, I had my own space. I could lock my ticket door, be quiet if I wanted to, and do things on my own terms. But in a nervous house, privacy is a luxury you don't always have to maintain. From the moment I arrived, I felt like I was constantly being watched over. Staff coming and going, check-ins, and shared spaces where you weren't alone. Even simple things like adding or using the ticket often required someone's assistance. I know they were just doing their jobs, but it's not easy to accept help for things you've already done independently in your life. I remember my first week studying with the idea that I had to ask permission to do things I'd already done without thinking. Do you want to take a key? You can wait until someone is available to help. Do you need to use the rest? Sometimes rushing the key button means waiting longer than you'd like. Even the food choices were limited. If you didn't like what was on the grill that day, well, too bad. And then, the problem was the directions. Not everyone has a private direction, and sharing a space with someone else. Something you don't choose can be frustrating. I was lucky to have some kind of direction, but I heard stories of others who weren't so lucky. Some had directions that were crazy, tilted, or even had cognitive issues that made sleeping almost impossible. And no matter how hard you try to make your home feel like home, it's never truly yours. Dignity is a hard thing to lose, and I didn't realize how much of myself I would have to be surprised about until I was already there. When people touch you, but don't always wait for a response before entering, when you're treated like a patient instead of a person, when your daily routines are dictated by a project you didn't create, you change. You start to feel less like yourself and more like a name on a list. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself if you're prepared to give up the deprivation and control you have over your entire life, because once it's gone, it's hard to get back. Rule 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into a nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I thought I'd just have to try it, see how things went. And if I didn't like it, I could always leave. But what I didn't know is how hard it would be to go back to where I was. At first, it seemed simple. If I didn't like it, I would just go back. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house had grown cold, and keeping it at bay was hard. My kids had already started making changes, finding things they thought I wouldn't need. Even though I considered renting the place out, when I brought up the idea of moving back, they were hesitant. Are you sure you can handle your own life? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then there was the problem of physical decline. After months of living in a place where I didn't have to pick up after myself, clean, or even walk very far, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I once had began to slip away, making the idea of moving back harder than I ever imagined. I wasn't as confident in my ability to live alone, and that bleakness left me. I met others who had the same experience. They thought they would try the nursing home for a while, only to realize that the exit wasn't as easy as they thought. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to adjust to life outside. Some people even lose the option altogether when their home is soldered down, or their lifeline is taken by the cost of care. There's no going back. This is the part no one tells you. Moving seems like a decision you can reverse, but for most people, it's not. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world, and before you know it, the life outside that you once knew starts feeling like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that when you get in, the exit may not be as simple as you think? because when you do give up, the barriers to exit, whether financial, physical, or emotional, may be harder to overcome than you expected. If you're still watching this video and finding these valuable subscribers, please comment the number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Most importantly, Mom. Final images. Looking back, I don't regret growing up, but I regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I went in expecting comfort, health, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a world that slowly took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and even my feeling. Does this mean that nursing home men are all good? Not necessarily. Some people really need the level of care that they provide. But before you make that decision, think carefully about what you are giving them. Because if you move, life will never be the same. If I could do that, I would have thought it harder to stay in my own home. Explore more ways to help you without giving up my freedom and teach you what I really needed to be there before making a permanent move. And if you are making that decision, I hope you take the time to ask yourself if this is really what is best for me, or if it is just what seems easiest right now. Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, are important for the times you can. Thank you for joining us today. We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.